Hot news today.
How much have U.S. wars in the Middle East and Afghanistan cost? The top 10 military spenders in the world. The human cost of U.S.-led wars. 500,000 people killed in Afghanistan-Iraq wars. The economic cost of U.S.-led wars. U.S. funding of Israel's genocide in Gaza. The human cost of Israel's genocide in Gaza. How much have U.S. wars in the Middle East and Afghanistan cost? Al Jazeera. The decades-long military involvement of the United States in the Middle East expanded once again this week after its warplanes bombed at least 3 of Iran's nuclear facilities. According to a briefing by U.S. General Dan Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, 7 B-2 stealth bombers, each valued at approximately $2.1 billion, dropped at least 14 bunker-buster bombs worth millions on Fordow and Natanz. In total, more than 125 U.S. aircraft participated in the mission, including bombers, fighters, tankers, surveillance aircraft, and support crews, all costing hundreds of millions of dollars to deploy and operate. The U.S. spends more on its military than any other country in the world, more than the next 9 countries combined, spending about 3 times more than China and nearly 7 times more than Russia. In 2024, the U.S. spent $997 billion on its military, accounting for 37% of all global military spending, according to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, SIPRI. The top 10 military spenders in the world. The United States spends more on its military than the next 9 countries combined, according to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, SIPRI. Country. Spending 2024. Spending as a share of GDP, percent. Share of world spending, percent. 1. United States. $997 billion. 3.4%. 37%. 2. China. $314 billion. 1.7%. 12%. 3. Russia. $149 billion. 7.1%. 5.5%. 4. Germany. $88.5 billion. 1.9%. 3.3%. 5. India. $86.1 billion. 2.3%. 3.2%. 6. United Kingdom. $81.8 billion. 2.3%. 3%. 7. Saudi Arabia. $80.3 billion. 7.3%. 3%. 8. Ukraine. $64.7 billion. 34%. 2.4%. 9. France. $64.7 billion. 2.1%. 2.4%. 10. Japan. $55.3 billion. 1.4%. 2%. Source: Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, 2024. The human cost of U.S.-led wars. According to an analysis by Brown University's Watson Institute of International and Public Affairs, U.S.-led wars since 2001 directly caused the deaths of about 940,000 people across Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iraq, Syria, Yemen, and other post-9/11 conflict zones. This does not include indirect deaths, namely those caused by loss of access to food, healthcare, or war-related diseases. These indirect deaths are estimated to be 3.6 to 3.8 million, bringing the total death toll, including direct and indirect deaths, to between 4.5 and 4.7 million and counting. During that time, at least 30,000 U.S. military personnel, contractors, and Allied troops were also killed. This includes at least 7,052 soldiers, 8,189 contractors, and 14,874 Allied troops. 500,000 people killed in Afghanistan-Iraq wars. The war in Afghanistan began on October 7, 2001, as a response to the September 11 attacks and aimed to destroy al-Qaeda and remove the Taliban from power. Less than 2 years later, on March 20, 2003, the U.S. and its allies launched the war in Iraq, aiming to eliminate its alleged weapons of mass destruction, WMDs, and remove Saddam Hussein from power. However, no stockpiles of WMDs were ever found. Spanning nearly 20 years, the Afghanistan conflict, including those killed in the bordering regions of Pakistan, became the most prolonged military engagement in U.S. history and resulted in an estimated 243,000 direct deaths. In Iraq, about 315,000 people were directly killed during the war. Together, they account for at least 558,000 direct deaths between October 2001 and August 2021, according to the Watson Institute. The economic cost of U.S.-led wars. The U.S. has spent an estimated $5.8 trillion funding its more than 2 decades of war. This includes $2.1 trillion spent by the Department of Defense, DoD, $1.1 trillion by Homeland Security, $884 billion to increase the DoD base budget, $465 billion on veterans' medical care, and an additional $1 trillion in interest payments on loans taken out to fund the war. U.S. continues to pay for its wars. In addition to the $5.8 trillion already spent, the U.S. is expected to spend at least $2.2 trillion on obligations for veterans' care over the next 30 years. This brings the total estimated cost of U.S. wars since 2001 to $8 trillion. U.S. funding of Israel's genocide in Gaza. Israel has consistently been the largest recipient of U.S. foreign aid, having received at least $251.2 billion in inflation-adjusted dollars since 1959, according to Brown University's Watson Institute. Since 2016, the U.S. has committed to giving Israel $3.8 billion per year under a 10-year Memorandum of Understanding, which runs through 2028. Most of this is allocated as foreign military financing. However, in the year following the October 2023 attacks, the U.S. provided an additional $17.9 billion in military aid to Israel, the highest annual total ever. This includes $6.8 billion in military financing, $4.5 billion for missile defense and $4.4 billion on replenishing arms to Israel from U.S. stocks. The human cost of Israel's genocide in Gaza. According to the latest casualty figures from the Palestinian Ministry of Health in Gaza, as of June 24, 2025. Confirmed killed, at least 56,077. Injured, at least 131,848. Since Israel broke the ceasefire on March 18. Confirmed killed, at least 5,759. Injured, at least 19,807. Thousands more are feared buried under the rubble.
Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow.